brings me to asking you how you define success. What was the point at which you thought, yes, I have achieved more than I ever thought I could. I've helped the people I want to help. And how would you also define success for Investec?
As I say, the first few years of my life, I looked forward to a life that would have been fairly limited. I would be a farm worker with no more than 6 years of education at best. So I would either be a laborer working in the fields, I would be tractor driver, a lorry driver. That was the sum total of my hopes. So at that time, because we lived the many of us, and it was not just the siblings that we had an extended family. So at any one time, probably more than 20, 25 people living together. So at that time, the urgent need was for somebody to take responsibility for the family. So I took it upon myself that I needed to make a difference to that family. So in my teens, the idea of completing high school, getting a teacher's diploma, and being a breadwinner was what drove everything I did. Then I got to go to university, which I didn't plan to do. And the idea that I could become better and, in fact, make a bigger contribution really got to drive me forward and what my thoughts were about. I had a sense that I could become something more meaningful because I'm driven by a sense of not only opportunity, but the gifts that one has. I've never tried to compare myself to the next person. I always try to ask myself the question, given the talents and gifts that I have, the breaks in life and opportunities that I've had, have I made the best use of those? I've made many mistakes in my life, and yet I continue to be very successful. So some mistakes you make could be terminal. The fact that you make a mistake and it's not terminal is again a break that you've got to be thankful for. So my view at a personal level is, look at your talents, look at the opportunities you've made, look at the breaks on the downside that could have wiped you out, and you've survived them. What have you done with those opportunities? Even today, I work on the basis that my most successful day is in the future because I still have good health, I still have great opportunities, and I have great people that I work with. Investec happens to be a platform that allows one to try to actualize, but also to make a contribution. So I never think of having arrived, as it were. I think there's always a step to take towards tomorrow.
Well, and as you said earlier, as soon as you start to feel comfortable, you know that something needs to change. How would you describe what you are now, the sort of leader you are now?
I remain strongly influenced by a sense of possibility, a sense that life gives us the opportunity to make of it more than may meet the eye. So with Investec, despite the fact that we've got a great platform, the platform is not performing as it should. Our shareholders are not necessarily as happy about where we are as a business, and yet our clients are happy, our clients love us. So the possibility of taking this platform forward over the next 5-7 years to continue to be relevant to our clients, to be relevant to the communities where we have the opportunity to operate, to make sure that the people that come to work for Investec, at the moment 10,000 of them, post the demerger 8,500, that each one of these people have the opportunity to develop and to reach their own goals. I'm also informed by a sense of fairness. I think leaders need to be fair in their approach to their people. I'm more lenient, I think, towards failure than most people would think makes sense. I'm more open to people failing as long as they're honest in what they do.
So what, giving them almost the confidence to try something that might not work, because the point is to...
I prefer people to rather step out, do something as opposed to waiting to be authorized to do something, because I think that way decisions funnel up, and I don't think that's the best way to run a business. I think people on the ground need to take responsibility, need to take ownership, need to make decisions and move on. So I would be more forgiving of somebody who makes a mistake, having tried, than somebody who sits waiting for authorization and we have no progress. I think for most young people, people give up too quickly, too easily. So just an optimism about the future and not giving up is what is important. Obviously, you have to then have programs that give substance to that hope. So in poorer communities, can you get an education system going? Can you get some job creation going? Because those things give people a sense of hope and meaning.
Out of interest, did you have mentors on the way through? Who made a difference for you?
The people who made the greatest difference really did so in my earlier life, and they helped shape my view of life. As I said, my dad, my mom. In high school, had a principal who firstly believed in me. When I told you I came from a farm environment where we were treated as subhuman, so you had no sense of worth or confidence. So meeting somebody who said to you, you are actually good at something, you can be successful, made a world of difference. I think within a career environment, didn't really have mentors. My career would probably have developed faster if one had mentors, because some of the mistakes I made, I could have avoided. I mean, as an example, as a young person, I tended to be a bit impetuous from time to time. As I say, I get restless. And sometimes if you have a mentor, somebody who's more experienced, a bit older, they would say to you, okay, it's good that you're feeling restless, but don't act on impulse. The fault is not always with the other person or with the firm. The fault may yet lie with you. In my early work, the first guy I worked with in private equity, a guy called Eric Molabi, was somebody that I looked up to. He had two particular traits that I really, really admired. The first was he had complete faith and trust in a young team that he had recruited. I mean, that was fantastic, a sense of knowing that you trusted. Second, he tried to do what is right all the time, and he was fair. Instilled a sense of doing what is right, doing your best, and really doing it to the best of your ability. So he was an early mentor and hero for me. And clearly, being South African, one would always look up to Nelson Mandela, a man of great moral strength. What I really admired about him more than anything was the sense that you have to make some decisions and take some risks. Because the risks that he took, he came out of prison with a high number of his colleagues thinking that he's already sold out. The courage that he's displayed at critical moments of our history, not only pre him going to prison, but in particular, outcome. And the personal risks that he's had to take at each turn, that's the kind of leadership model that I really do admire. So taking risks, making calls, even though you do not know whether they will turn right or not, but having a conviction, having a position on something. That's why I keep saying time and again that I prefer people to make decisions, to make calls, because I'm inspired by these examples of people who literally bend the arc of history. Because if you take these fundamental principles-based decisions, you can change history. And I admire people who believe in others, because it's made a hell of a difference. If I did not have people who believed in me, I don't think I would have done even 1% of the things that I have been lucky to do and to achieve.